ecosystems and everything. But him and his wife went up there and got off the main road, little dirt road, and went back a little ways. And he got out of the car. His wife was still in the car, passenger side. And he got out and let the dog go, run around a little bit. And he wanted him back in. He said, "Come on, we gotta go. Whatever. Dog don't want to go. He wants to stay out there." So Dwayne slapped he's got a temper anyway. He slapped the hood of the car, made a loud racket. "Get in here, you driver!" And something goes, "Ah!" And he said, "Come on!" He's trying to get the dog, and this thing's screaming, and he hears this like a truck or a semi coming through the freaking woods, tearing everything down.
You could
All
hear
this thing
the
is
crashing,
hollering in the tree. It sounded like it just like a train coming through. And he said that his wife was in the car and said, get in here, yelling at him. He's trying to get the dog. Dog ain't coming. She got in the driver's side because this thing's getting louder. And I can imagine how loud I heard him. And you'd think one's next to you and it's a block or 2 blocks away or a mile. But she was starting the car up. She was going to take off without him, and she was terrible. He dove in the car, left the dog, and they took off out of there.
They left the dog?
Yeah. You're going to stay there for that frickin' dog? He won't come with you?
let him snack on the dog.
Well, I don't know if that would be a wise move, but so much for valor, if you want to be brave, go ahead. I don't know, but jeez, fucking monster, excuse me, monster coming at me. Oh, you leave a little dog.
Yeah.
That's what scares me about her. She's a little naive sometimes. But he got in the car. They took off out of there, and I know him well. I've known him several years now, and we've been up in the woods a lot. So I've got to know him.
Did they go back for the dog?
I'm gonna not finish with the story. And that's another thing she does. She'll interrupt you, assume what you're gonna say, get ahead of you, and everything else. Then get things confused and tied up, and I don't want to go.
My dad's grumpy.
I don't have the patience I used to have. Anyway, so they went home, and she's a level-headed, tough gal. She's went out hunting and cleaned and everything else for years with him. And this was different. She got home and she cried. She bawled all night. She was terrified. She will not go in the woods to this day. Never went hunting again or anything. And he went up the next day. You went to school, right?
Yeah.
I did very much. But I still remember the teacher saying, when I get through talking, you can ask questions. If I haven't answered most of your questions in my talk, it's not a very good talk. Wait till I get through.
Do I have permission to speak?
No, I'm not through yet. She didn't get it, and I just told it to her. But, so, she was crying all day. He turned out and went back to look for the dog the next morning. He didn't have to. It was the regular road, asphalt road, just before you get to the dirt road where you turn off to go where the dog was. The dog was in the road, the main road. So he got out, and the dog was happy to get in the car now. And he says, right there, he says there was a track right at the edge of the road. Track says like that, footprint.
Wow.
So I think that what had happened, that thing, when it was coming through, they took off. The thing just kept going to intercept them or act like it was going to intercept. I think they do a lot of fake stuff to scare you.
Yeah.
But just something. I think that's why the track was there. But
Yeah.
anyway, so. But there's people that throughout, if you could go back in the history of people, the history of this town, there'd probably be people just wasn't reported in the news or something, or locally or whatever, but there's probably been a lot of sightings forever here.
Yeah.
You know, but people don't go around talking about it, I've learned that.
Yeah.
And I've had to ask, I'm not bashful about it, I don't care if they laugh at me or whatever, I'm not that timid about it, but, people think I'm crazy anyway, so. So, doesn't bother me, but I've gotten from talking, cause people don't talk about it.
Yeah.
And at the lounge here, I've spent a lot of time in there talking, of course, the hunters and everything, they get a kick out of me.
So you Bigfoot lately?
Yeah.
Fine Bigfoot, you know?
Yeah. Seen one the other day, 14 foot tall. Gotta let me know when you see him, you know, soon enough, so I can get down there and check it out.
Yeah.
They just howl.
I knew an old timer that I knew quite well that lived just down the street here at one time. And he said when he was a kid, and he was born in 1900, and he said there was an old timer that every summer the guy would go across the river and he'd be gone, for a month or so. Yeah. He came back across the river every summer, and Clarence had a gold nugget about that big around that he had.
Did you know him?
Pardon?
You didn't know him, right?
I knew Clarence really well.
You knew
Yeah,
him?
yeah. The
Well, that's
gold
the first
nugget.
time I've heard about the story several times, I've never.
The gold nugget was this big around, and the guy gave it to him one day and told him, he said, kid, I'll give you something. Because Clarence kind of took to the old fella and was asking questions, he'd follow him around because he lived right there close to the neighborhood. And Clarence hung on to that gold nugget. He had it when he died, as far as I know. I don't know if the kids got it or what, but he said that guy would every summer go across, be gone a while, and come back across. So across the river there somewhere,
Yeah.
there's gold.
Yeah, there's supposed to be a mine or something, and there's gold back in their vein or something he knew about, but nobody knows where it's at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the old fella never told anybody ever where he went. And back then, the population of the town wasn't very big, and, so.
Yeah, it sounds credible, I've heard too much.
A lot of mystery around here.
Oh, yeah, we're finding out more and more since she's opened this.
Yeah.
People coming in here, how many people yet coming that had sightings or had something to say about Bigfoot experiences?
Yeah.
18 or,
God, I
18 you
think
got
we're-
interviewed.
We're in the 20s now,
Yeah.
or 30, maybe even 30.
Some people have driven to Eugene to come up and tell their
Yeah.
about their, something that happened 20 years ago or 10 years ago,
Yeah.
whatever.
I've only been
Yeah.
open a couple months.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless you're putting it out. I always mention it, and I've had several people over the years, they hear me talking, but they don't get involved.
Yeah.
They'll be by myself up in the lounge area or something, and they'll come up and say, I wanted to talk to you.
Yeah.
Like you're the kind of guy who would understand.
Yeah.
And they tell you their story, but they don't go around talking.
Yeah.
Not most of them.
Right. I stop here once in a while at the Dairy Queen when I'm going through once in a while and have breakfast, and there'll be a bunch of older fellows sitting around having coffee at the Dairy Queen every day. And I usually walk in and say, and you guys live here in the 40s or 50s? Once in a while when I'm gonna speak up and say, I did, and ask me what his name is, it'd be somebody I went to school with, but
Yeah. Yeah.
people look different when you get to be our age.
Yeah, when I first got here, was it first few years or whatever, I was at the pub, and a distinguished looking guy was at the few bar stools away at the end of the bar. Anyway, I just asked him out on being here and how long he said, just started talking casual on that. I asked him, have you ever been out in the woods or anything here or whatever? I throw it out, because you never know when you're gonna get lucky.
Yeah.
I've not gotten so lucky. You may go through 1,000 people that haven't had anything, but
Yeah.
he said, yeah, he was a biologist here. retired for 30 years, a biologist in Oregon and Washington. She spent a lot of time out in the woods. So you ever see anything unusual or anything? Of course, you gotta specify, they'll say unusual, there's a lot of unusual things like that. You gotta say it, I hate to say it, it's almost embarrassing, but
Yeah.
Bigfoot. But he says, actually, he says, yeah, he says one time. He says there was a series of tracks, there were 17 inches. And he said that, the depth and everything, he said they only had 4 toes.
Hi.
And he said, I was thinking somebody's gonna face him. He said the circumstances and the gate looked like they were real.
Okay.
But he had never believed in that stuff. He didn't know anything about it, but he said he made a cast.
Maybe make some.
And he took it to a researcher, and I asked him, because he said, in the Dalles, or Mount Hood, and Peter Byrne here, this guy right there, he's the first guy I contacted to get into this stuff in the 70s. But, yeah, he was very well known. But, he had, in Parkdale, he had a Bigfoot center for people to give reports and stuff and check them out. But I asked him, I said, that Parkdale area? He said, yeah, actually, if it was Peter Byrne, he said, yes, so was that guy. He says, I took the track to him. And, he was pretty thorough, so very confident. Big tiger hunter and everything else, but, he said that this guy, Peter, said that he thought it was real. And he's not, doesn't confirm stuff a lot.
Yeah.
So he thought it was real, so that was one extra, but I wouldn't have known if I hadn't said anything.
Right.
That's the point.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know.
Yeah, that museum up out of Estacada is kind of interesting. I've been in that one.
Oh, you mean, Cliff Barracks?
I guess so. It coming out of Portland and then, or if you go in from Oregon City.
I've never been
where
there,
it
she has
intersects.
at,
It's a good sized museum. They've got a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah.
Bigfoot Museum, that's probably, it's Cliff Barracks, Finding Bigfoot. the show.
It's in Boring.
Yeah, boring. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it, that's his, he was here last year, he was one of the speakers.
Yeah.
And he, we showed him some tracks. He said they were interesting, but it didn't have the toe definition, they were just
Right.
French prints.
Yeah.
But, in fact, there were tracks all over
Yeah.
last year. There's an area, we know where a family is.
Really?
Yeah, and I've had some experiences with them, good and bad. But, they,
Oh, stay away from that area.
yeah, that makes sense, I would too, I'm trying to tell her, she's a little naive sometimes, I don't know, she doesn't seem to be afraid. Last year.
That's because they like me.
Yeah. They like me. Thank you. I've seen him go from benign and nice and quiet, and do something they ain't supposed to be doing by accident even, which I did. They go from benign, nice to, down their spectrum is, they can put the fear of God in.
Yeah.
You know?
Like I was telling your daughter, I said I do go on YouTube and watch some of these YouTube things, and I always type in and try to find something about Oakridge, or I live in Cottage Grove now, or Cottage Grove, just to see what's. And I was telling her that one night up London Road on Cottage Grove, a friend of mine went out to his wood pile to bring in a little bit of wood at night one night. He bent over to pick up some wood, and when he raised up with his wood, he was looked up like that, and about from here to your bathroom door there was set fairly far apart, but these, he said they glowed blue. I don't know if you've heard of that or not.
No.
But these, and he didn't have a flashlight or anything.
So its eyes glowed blue?
Just, and it was so dark, you know, that he didn't see anything except two blue glowing.
What kind of animal has blue eyes?
I looked up on on the internet, and I couldn't find an animal.
So sure it was eyes?
Yeah, well, he said it looked like eyes. He said he just put the wood right back down, turned around the other direction, went right straight back to his house, didn't look back. And he went out the next morning and went out and stood where he was standing and looking at the elevation of where the eyes were at, and it's kind of a slight grade, because he showed me exactly where whatever it was he saw was, it's an elevation, goes up just a little bit like that on an old skid road. He said, I have no idea what I saw. He said, I just know that I saw it. And like I was telling your daughter, I said, it's probably maybe a mile and a half from Razor Road.
Well, there's a lot of activity over there.
Yeah.
That's right there at Almuma.
Yeah, this Alabama area, there's a couple of researchers, in fact, they're working with her, that are over there. They've been there for quite a few years, a lot of activity. They got pictures, it's good pictures, sounds.
Yeah.
They think there's a portal there. There's UFO activity, Bigfoot activity.
This same guy, now listen, I'm not making this up either. But he said he went out one night out there by the wood pile, and he said looking up toward Razor Road, where it would be from his place there. He said he saw something, he couldn't tell how big it was, but it was above the tree line. In fact, he called me up that night because he knows that I live down London Road further. And he called me up and he said, Larry, he said, go out on your back deck and look up toward where I live.
This is not Adams, is it?
No,
Okay.
no, this guy's name is Boisevin.
Oh, okay.
And I went out and I looked and I didn't see anything, but of course, there, you know, if it probably wasn't high enough for me to see it. But, and he's the same guy that saw that blue dot.
There's stuff, yeah, that's really strange.
Yeah.
I mentioned that Tobe, and
Yeah, I will.
they do a lot of research out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His first name is Chris and his last name is Boisevin.
Yeah, that whole area, there's activity all the time going on.
Yeah. He said, you won't believe what I think I'm looking at. The night he saw whatever it was that was up in the
She had
air.
4 of them. Last year she went up there, one of the guys, a manager, one of the producers for a TV documentary Bigfoot thing. She went up with him and the granddaughter up to this area and getting moss.
Yeah.
Goes up there, gets some moss, collect back. And there was 4 sets of eyes. Was it 3 or 4?
Well, so I seen 2 of them, and I got scared.
Yeah.
And my granddaughter was in the car, so I was like, I'm going back to the car. And then Chad Datema from Searching for Sasquatch, he seen another set. So I think there was 3.
3, okay. It
yeah.
was either 3 or 4, you
Yeah.
said. But he said, yeah, 3, and then you seen 2 of the sets of eyes back in there.
Yeah.
For sure, the woods goes back, it's of course dark back in there. They were 11 o'clock at night. But then they drove off, you can tell if you want.
Yeah.
But she drove off and she was driving off. You can tell me, you can correct me, I have no.
I'm just listening.
She
I'm
hates
afraid
it
to
if I-
interrupt.
She hates it if I correct her.
I'm afraid to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, you're not. As soon as he goes, just because you're here, she don't. Anyway, she when she's driving off, they were driving off. She looked back, and they were standing right. 3 of them were standing there. You seen 2. You didn't see the 3.
No, I seen 2.
Okay.
Right where you
But
had
I'm
been sitting.
driving-
Yeah,
Yeah,
where
it
she'd
was
been
where
pulling
we
the
were.
moss. They were standing there.
Move.
So they moved quick.
Oh, they're very
Oh.
quick.
I was working one night at Pope and Talbot. I was working on the swing shift, and I stayed over late to clean up. Me and another guy, that's when they had a pond and everything at Pope and Talbot, and the mill was running. And we decided to take a break. We walked out to the mill pond out there, and back that time I smoked, so did he. We went out there to have a cigarette. And we were standing there at the pond and looking over here toward the mountains, all right? And all of a sudden, now, like I said, I was in the Air Force, and I know what B-52s look like when they're landing at night, the light that they shine, you know, for landing light. And all of a sudden, this light came on between us and the mountains. And it come down like this. And I thought it was a big airplane, because to me it looked just like a B-52 landing light. Didn't hear anything, it was quiet. Didn't see anything behind the light, but the light showed from here down like this. And I thought, well, somebody's in trouble. And we had about an hour and a half left. And so when we got off work, the cops used to sit up here by the stoplight. They used to sit in that area once in a while. And so on my way back down from Hope and Talbot, I pulled in there next to the cop and told him what we had seen. And I was sitting there next to him, and he called up Maryland Sweet Airport and asked him, have you had any aircraft in the Oakridge area in the last 2 hours? And they said, no traffic whatsoever. And so I don't know what it was that we saw, but it was big time real.
So it's at night?
It was at night about, I'd say, probably 2:30 in the morning. No idea what it was.
But you seen it was big enough?
Oh yeah, I mean, it was
outline
like a
of it.
floodlight come on, but it was between us and the mountains, and it was over toward the mountains, a little further. And when I was a kid, I went out Hills Creek with my dad. He was a cutter. And
Excuse me just a second. Would you like some coffee or something?
no, I've just had some.
I think when I mix it, I can still hear you.
And so I know what area he was working in up Hills Creek. And the canyon up there, the mountains are pretty high on one side, and off the left they're pretty high. But one morning when they got out of the crummy, him and his partner that he was working with got out of the crummy, and he said something bright and big came up that canyon, because the mountains were over here, and the canyon is here. He said something came up that canyon that was big and bright, and just went off into out of sight, because they couldn't see it anymore from the trees. But he said it came up that canyon, and only him and the guy that got out of the crummy at the same time, or shortly after he did, or he did after that guy, and they were on the ground, and all of a sudden, whatever it was. And I thought about that when I saw that weird light that night. I thought it triggered a memory that my dad had told me that he saw. So I know that weird stuff happens around here.
Yeah. We've gotten, there's been several people actually that said they've seen stuff here. The guy at the barber shop, he said he's driving on, not for commercials behind you, right? By the railroad track.
Yeah.
He said he was on commercial with a friend, and he said that it looked like kind of like almost a diamond shaped light, big, just sitting about as big as a bathroom. He said it wasn't too far away, I guess. And he had binoculars, and he's looking at it with that. Strange. Then his buddy wanted to see it, but he didn't want to let him. He has binoculars right away. He could see it, but not as good as he could. Then he looked at it and then gave him the binoculars, and it was already gone.
Yeah.
I was here, but there's been several stuff like that. One lady told me that out the edge of town here somewhere, she said that by this mountain, she said she'd seen this light move. Said it came all the way up where she went to the light on the top.
Wow. I saw something weird in South Dakota when I was stationed there. One night we got a call from the radar station that was up to the northwest of us, up by Miles City, Montana. And they said, do you guys have anything on your HRI at about 85,000 feet? And so we swung the radar around to look up that way and said, yeah, we've got something. He said, well, this is gonna sound a little bit weird. He said, but go outside and look up toward us. And they were about 175 miles northwest of us. So the whole crew, about 20 of us, went outside and we could see what they were seeing. And it was blinking. It was blinking yellow, and green, and blue, and red. Just blinking. And we had it on our radar. They had it on theirs, but from where our radar was pointing, it was northwest of us, and where they were at, it was southeast of them.
Uh-huh.
And we had it on radar.
Wow.
So we made out a report, and they sent it in, and I don't know whatever became of it, but it was something weird, and there was about 20 of us on the crew that saw it, and about the same amount that saw it on the other side. So,
Not to get off topic, well, not real quick anyway. This is like for horses and cattle, ivermectin. So if you want to sound like a horse, take some of this.
yeah. But anyway, I know there's weird stuff going on, and I have no answers for it.
Yeah. That's the ivermectin that doesn't taste very good.
Yeah.
I thought that was all right. That was the regular one.
Oh, no, but you can have it. I think it's
So
fine.
we seen me, her husband, many years ago, about 20 years. I don't know what it was.
Erica's 30. I was pregnant with Erica, so it was 30 years ago.
I don't even want to think like that. We're out
30,
there.
you're not that old.
I'm 50.
You don't look 50.
Well, thank you.
Don't tell me how old I look.
I'd have guessed you about 35.
Well, thank you.
But
Of course, like you said, I don't look 87 either, but
Right?
I still work.
That's good.
I don't know if you saw me drive in or not, but I'm driving that pickup with the pilot license on lights on top of it. I do oversized loads.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I love working.
Anyway, we're camping out. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. You go
We're
ahead.
camping out in the desert. We're heading to Arkansas. Dude, I was going there for Falcon monster research. But,
Where at? Where at?
Southwest Arkansas, in Falk, little town of Falk. A lot of reports. That's where the legend of Boggy Creek.
Yeah, I heard that legend.
I spent a lot of time there.
Really?
Yeah. It's pretty interesting stuff. That's a whole story. But so we're in the desert. It's in the evening, dark, and see the mountain, the ridge off in the distance. This light goes, stops, dead stop. Goes behind the mountain, goes down slow. It's out of sight, and it wasn't a minute. I don't think. 2 jet interceptors went right over it, kept going. Get it on radar with the mountain right in front of it, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's pretty neat. Get this, if you remember, about a year later, we're back in California, and we're watching a UFO show. There's that light. Stops, goes down, 2 jets go.
Really?
Somebody was out
Somebody
there.
filmed it.
Somebody filmed it. Yeah.
Yeah, we scrambled jets that night out of Ellsworth, and nothing come of them. But there was, back at that time, we were having a lot of stuff on radar and GOC guys back then, they were calling stuff in that they were seeing, and we scrambled a lot of jets. And one night we scrambled on something that I have no idea what it was, but it was on the radar. We scrambled the jets on it, and the guy the guy could see it, the pilot could see it, but he couldn't get a lock on, radar wise.
Yeah.
And then it disappeared just as quick as it came. And he turned around and went back toward the base, and he called our guy that was our controller that was talking to him, and he said, it just disappeared, and I didn't get a lock on. He said, but I can see it behind me. Well, we couldn't see it then. I don't know why we couldn't pick it up because we had him, but we couldn't see it, but he could.
Yeah. Well, you know, what's the nearest star system? Well, we got, you know, if they were from this system here, but it looks like they come a long, long ways.
Yeah.
And what is a Zeta Reticuli? What is that? Is that 2 light years or 20 light years?
Alpha Centauri.
I don't know. No, there's Zeta Reticuli 1 and 2.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And that supposedly is what was it, the Betty and Barney Hill abduction?
I think so.
That's what was the chart was supposed to be in that craft.
Yeah.
That was brought out under
Yeah.
reverse hypnosis or whatever.
Right.
But and she was supposed to draw that 3 years before anybody knew about it. Astronomers, nobody knew about that star system until 3 years after she drew it. And when she drew it, it was that star system, which is I don't know, I can't remember if it's, I think it's 20 light years away. But 2 light years away is enough, right? 186,000 miles a second for 2 years to get there. But I think it's 20. But anyway, it's a long ways.
It's above my pay grade.
Yeah, so they but that was in reverse the way she drew it. That they were coming in from the other side of Zeta Reticuli 1. Go! And the commander of the ship, told her that, because she was looking at it, and he said that's an area where there's life, and they go through there. And she said, where am I on the, where's Earth on the chart? And, oh, no, she has something else. Damn, it's been so long since I've been hearing this, but this commander of the ship said, where are you on there, or whatever? She said, I don't know. He said, well, there's no need to try to tell you where something else is that you don't know where you're at on there, or something like that. But it's quite a story.
Yeah.
But I think it's happening. But,
that's weird.
Yeah, so, but something that come that far, anything we've got here, radar systems or anything else would be pretty much obsolete, I would think. I don't think they would,
I do know on radar, because that's what I did was radar operator. I do know that back in the 50s, we tracked many different times stuff that we plotted and tracked that was doing 3,000 miles an hour in the 50s.
Wow.
Now, that's fast. There wasn't an aircraft even thought of to be invented.
Yeah, I think that people they think you're, I've been talking about, I was obsessed with flying saucers ever since I was a little kid. If I wasn't drawing them in school, I actually got kicked out of school.
Really?
A year early before it was allowed to be. I spent all my time when I was in school, not ditching, I would be drawing flying saucers, tick the teachers off, get sent to the principal. I was dreaming about them or I was drawing them.
I drew World War II airplanes because I was going to school during the war.
I did that, I got into that because just drawing flying saucers got a little boring, so I had to have the planes too, and then fighting and lasers and stuff.
Yeah.
But so I did a lot of that. But I'm gonna tell you something profound, and I don't want to scare you off. I don't want to scare somebody off. I just start talking about me and my experiences. That's all I have to do. But I never thought that I had so many dreams about seeing flying saucers. I just wanted to see one. And I never thought I would. I read about them. I was in 4th grade, I was ditching school and reading about flying saucers. So, and the reports looked good, you know, to me. But I saw one. I actually saw 2 close up.
Really?
But the first one was in the house. Where's the dream about flying saucers? My parents gave us the house after I got married. And the school's a half block away, the elementary school. I'm standing in the backyard, Southern California, not a cloud, totally clear, blue skies. Long Beach Airport's only a few miles away. And I have a friend who's on the roof adjusting my antenna, getting the old time antenna thing going. And I'm always looking around. That's why I run into telephone poles, I guess, a lot. But I'm looking for, and I see an object. It's a plane. It's got to be a plane, right? I don't pay a lot of attention to it. But there was something amiss, and it started becoming clear to me. But every once in a while I look over it, and it hadn't moved as it went that way or that way. So it has to be, it ain't smaller, it looks like a little bigger, so it has to be coming this way. So I started paying more attention, looking, and it's getting a little bigger and bigger. But I was born and raised there. And I don't remember ever a plane flying over the house there or whatever, closest, it wasn't a traffic pattern or something. And I could always hear the planes. I could hear the planes when I couldn't see them. And I'm saying this, I don't hear this thing, and I never had a plane come like that, stretching growing up there. So that's 2 things.
Yeah.
And so I'm paying more attention, looking at my buddy and watching it. It's getting bigger and bigger. It's like it was taking its time.
Yeah.
And in a neighborhood. It comes right up, it's up, I look and there it is. It's right over there, across the neighbor's house across the street, probably 60 feet up or I don't know, something like that.
Huh.
It's just awesome.
Wow.
Quiet, just sitting. Big heavy piece of metal,
Yeah.
just sitting there.
Huh.
And that's what's haunting about that. It's something so big and so heavy, and it just
Sits there.
just frozen.
Wow.
Quiet,
Wow.
you know? And so I got the thrill.
Yeah, that's really, really something.
I savored every second.
Oh yeah.
I'm watching, I'm looking at it. I got to look, I don't know how long it was. Probably wasn't very long, it seemed like a long time.
Yeah.
Because I got to look it over so well. And the disc underneath up here, and then the one on top, they had a dome.
Uh-huh.
But there was a black strip right in the middle of it, where it separated the two. But and I could tell, like looking into a cave. It was tall, that was tall. Because I remember thinking, if I was up there, I could crawl back in there, you know? And it looked like, I really got to look it over.
Yeah.
I really appreciated that.
Yeah, that's.
But it makes me
He's been
wonder.
waiting for him to come back ever since.
Well, actually, they did later on another time. I'll tell you that one if you got time. But I was content seeing that after it was over with. But I remember seeing it. It looked like it was aluminum, like hard, solid aluminum. That's what it looked like.
Yeah.
And it looked like it could use a car wash. I remember that. And that on the top side of the disc, up one area, it looks darkish and black.
Yeah.
Where the other way was the color of dirty aluminum.
Right.
And I remember thinking about that. It looks like it could use a paint job too.
Yeah.
You know? But, yeah. So I'm thinking all this stuff, but I'm just ecstatic.
Yeah.
I mean, this is dream, right?
Your boyhood dream came
Oh, yes, it
true.
was. And man, I don't want to take my eyes off of it.
Yeah,
Because I want to see it. I know it's going to take off. Man. I want to see if it just disappears or if I see it. So I don't want to take my eyes off it.
yeah,
And in fact, when I focus on that and the second one too, 100%, I don't even know anything's going on around me,
Yeah.
just that. I'm totally 100%.
yeah,
But so I don't want to take my eyes off it, but then it clicks. A witness, my friend, I know he's got his back to it,
yeah,
because he's looking the other way.
yeah,
And this was stupid. Of course, you don't have time to think. I took my eyes off it, just for a split frickin' second. I just looked at him and said, "Hey!" Like that was gone. And I just, you know,
Wow.
turning. It was gone. He goes, "Wow." If I had thought about it, I've thought about it a million times, of course. And I could have hollered at him and pointed and still watched,
yeah, without
right?
taking your
I
eyes
didn't
off
have to
of
take
it.
my eyes
Yeah.
off. But
Oh, man, yeah,
but I was 100% content.
yeah,
I really was. I didn't need to see one ever again. I'd
Yeah.
love to, but I was so content.
Yeah.
Just because I never expected to really get, and then close up on top of where you see the cracks in it. It's
Yeah.
like, holy sheesh. But so about 8 years later, whatever it was, several years later, but me and my wife, she, well, I rented a tent in Long Beach, California. Went up the High Sierra Nevada. Went camped in a little meadow surrounded by trees. There's a creek by there. And to this day, don't tell anybody. Some people out there, if they hear me on the radio, they think I'm a big beater of the bush looking for monsters and stuff. But I don't even know how to set up a tent right. But if it hadn't been for that, I might not have seen this.
yeah,
I set up the tent, but it was on a slight grade, and we just kept sliding, and like every 40 minutes or whatever it was, we'd wake up because we were sliding to sleep and backsliding
really,
because it was on a grade.
yeah,
So I told her, let's go outside and just put it on the ground. And we did. I opened up another beer, and we just laid back and looked at the stars. And there's 5% clouds or something. I don't know what kind of clouds they are, but there'd be a big cloud over there, looked like 50 miles away, and then one over there, you know,
Yeah.
50 miles or something, whatever those clouds are. But most of it, I mean, 99, at least 95% clear. So there are billion stars. I
Yeah.
just laying back and looking at this freaking
Oh,
endless
yeah.
abyss. And I think, gosh, I'm saying, God, who knows what could be out there? You know?
Yeah.
And just, and it's, can't see your hand in front of your face.
right,
It's black. Well, I finished my beer and I turned off over to the left side. I was gonna go to sleep. And I could see through the woods. There's a light. It's lit up.
well,
And the last thing I looked at was a full moon off to the right, big,
Uh-huh.
beautiful full moon. It was something. And so I looked back, and just for a flash, I knew what I was looking at, but for a flash, the mind, the way it works, I thought I was looking at the moon, but I knew better. Didn't take long to realize, no, it's the moon's over there. It's a saucer right overhead. Freaking huge. Same color of light as the moon, too.
yeah,
There's no details to look at,
yeah,
but I'm in awe again, man. I'm in awe. That's where the light's coming from.
yeah,
It's the ship.
yeah,
And it's just sitting there,
wow,
no sound, no nothing. And I'm looking it over, like looking at that light right there, all
Yeah.
but big.
yeah,
All I could do was look at a big sound light, you know what I mean? I wish
Yeah.
I could see some detail, but
right,
you can't, you know. But and I forgot everything. I didn't even know my wife was there.
yeah,
Right, I'm just looking at this thing. I ain't gonna let this one get away.
yeah,
Nothing's gonna detract me from it. But I got to look at it for, God, it seemed like a long time. No, it wasn't, but I'm just absorbing every second, man.
Yeah,
And I got to see it go.
yeah.
Freaking something else. From a dead stop,
Just
like a bullet,
like that. Wow.
no sound. And it
Yeah.
left a light streak
Yeah,
off right towards that cloud. And it, so quick, just
Yeah.
a trail of light, and the light reflected off the cloud and went in and was
Yeah.
gone.
Oh.
So,
You've had some experiences.
oh, they're so wonderful. I just, not a day goes by I don't think about
Yeah.
this. But and then after it was gone, man, I'm still looking at that cloud it went into it. Then I thought of my wife.
Yeah.
She ain't saying nothing. I look over, and she's eyes are baby saucers.
So she saw it too.
She's looking straight up at the stars just like she was. She ain't saying nothing, she's looking straight up. I know she's seeing it, so I couldn't help it. And so I just laid back and I said, did you see what I saw? And she said, the only thing she said was, I seen it when it came in. I missed it.
Yeah,
I always do something stupid, my timing's terrible.
yeah,
That few seconds when I turned and the light was there, she seen it. I just went to sleep. She didn't want to talk. It bothered her the rest of her life.
yeah.
But she didn't want to talk about it. She'd talk about it if somebody else bring it up. Did that happen? I'll talk about it a little bit, but she'd never bring it up.
Yeah.
But she told me that when she was laying back, I had turned. Get this. This isn't creepy or haunting. She's looking at the stars and sees the ship come in slow from behind and stop. I had the light on it. I missed.
That's
So
scary.
She got more out of it than I did. But because I turned.
Yeah,
That's when the light was on, was when
yeah,
I turned.
right,
If I had just sit there for another couple of seconds, I would have gotten to see it coming.
right,
like that.
exactly, yeah.
So I'm always missing out. But so that was great.
Those saucers and.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about saucers, one day we were, well, took about 5 days, but we picked up a part of some kind of an aircraft thing from Boeing. It came down from Boeing and we went, taking it to Missouri, to an Air Force base in Missouri. And we were out in the middle of Colorado and this thing is on a truck and it looks like a small UFO, and it's not. It's just a piece of an aircraft, but it's tarped, covered, and everything. Pulled into a station, and the truck went around here to the diesel pumps, and I pulled in to get fuel over here at this other place, and this tourist came through. I don't know where he was from. It was either in Colorado or Kansas. I can't remember now, but he said, "Are you with that truck?" And I said, yeah. He said, what is that under that tarp? And so I looked around like this. I said, don't tell anybody. I said, but we're transporting a UFO. I said, but if you mention a word about it or say anything, you're gonna be in deep trouble. And I know I am. But
Man in Black will be seen.
yeah, so just don't worry about it, just forget it. And I just wonder this day, I keep waiting for somebody to say, I know a guy that saw him transporting one. Stories get back around to you. But the guy swallowed it hook, line, and sinker, and it was just a piece of an aircraft.
Yeah, it don't take much for people to get going.
Yeah.
Spinning yarn. Good God. I've seen some crazy shit with people.
Yeah.
They think I'm crazy.
Well, I better get going. I was supposed to be home an hour ago, but.
I'll talk your ears off.
Yeah, well, I'll stop by again.
Yeah, I don't want to give you too much at once.
And you'll have a new report.